Welcome to the HIV podcast. Each week we focus on a person, historical event or pop culture moment linked to HIV and explore the story of what actually happened. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Jess, and between us we've been working in the field of HIV for 40 years. Our aim is to get as many people as possible HIV educated. You moved your mouth in and no words came out. I didn't hear any sound.
I didn't know I was starting.
Oh, well, welcome to the HIV podcast and welcome everybody. Friday, the 1st of December to World AIDS Day.
Excellent.
Once a year it's landed, Sarah. Here we are. And we've tried to wear our ribbons, haven't we? So people can see when we make the videos. But because of how our videos are, we've sort of had to wear them extremely high up. It's quite an odd place. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's not how we'd normally wear them, but that's fine. We'll wear them on the shoulder today. So just let's do some business first, obviously. This wonderful episode is sponsored by AuraQuick. AuraQuick HIV self-test gives you more control, allowing you to test yourself accurately anytime, anywhere, using an oral fluid sample. No blood, no needles, just results in 20 minutes. AuraQuick is easy, painless, proven and private. Available from Terence Higgins Trust, Superdrug, Amazon and pharmacies throughout the UK. Additional information can be found on uk.auraquick.com. And as always, we will put all that information below this episode. So thank you very much, AuraQuick.
Oh, lovely. Beautifully read.
In other news, panic stations yesterday.
Oh.
Wasn't it?
Well, yes, there were. Yes, fair enough.
So Sarah has been a poorly princess.
I have. I'm still poorly, Jess.
Oh, and you're pulling yourself through just to do this on World AIDS Day.
To do this, yeah.
I feel very grateful. And I have to say, I have a massive, massive thank you to say to friend of the podcast, Will Hampson, who I messaged in a total panic, being like, Sarah's not well. Could you step in if I need to record with you? Like, I'll lead the episode. And he was amazing. And he was like, yes, don't panic. If you need me, I'm there. If not, don't worry. So, Will, honestly, you actually brought my blood pressure down quite a lot yesterday. I can't even tell you. Because I was like, it's World AIDS Day, obviously one of the most important days in the HIV calendar. And my podcast partner may not be able to record. So you saved me, Will.
Oh, I would have done. I'd still have recorded it.
With the sick bucket on one side.
Sick bowl here, yes.
Oh.
So,
you know, sick bowls. So I've been having a conversation about this in my household. So this is quite pertinent that you've been using a sick bowl a lot. So did you grow up with a sick bowl where it was also used as like a cake mixing bowl or putting the crisps in bowl? Right, me too. But Ben thinks that is horrendous. And he's like, absolutely not. If it's a sick bowl, it does not go back in the kitchen cupboard. It does not get used for anything else. Like, but I've washed it. That's just life.
Oh, so yes, my sick bowl, what a conversation to have, it's a mixing bowl, but not the best mixing bowl. It's like a reserve mixing bowl.
Yeah, exactly.
But I will put that through the dishwasher now.
Exactly. You're not vomiting in your Le Creuset. Like, that's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying it's one of your rubbishy ones, but you are still going to put it back in the kitchen. So
did Ben have his like a separate sick? How posh is Ben's family when they have bowls just to be sick in?
Do you think he had those ones like at the hospital, the disposable ones?
Oh, yeah.
I'll have to ask him. I haven't actually asked him what he used to be sick into. Most of the conversation has just centred around how disgusting I am, if I'm honest.
Not rich. We don't have bowls for different things. Well, I don't.
No, I don't. I know, exactly. How fancy are they? But anyway, Sarah, I am so glad you are here. Thank you for joining me because I know you're still not feeling 100%. So I'm very happy to have you here with me. I have loads of thank yous to do. First of all, obviously people would have seen that we sent out some gorgeous little packages for World AIDS Day to people. Now, we only had a limited amount to send out. We wanted to send them out to literally everybody, but obviously we couldn't. But we want to say a huge thank you to Mark Tilling from the Chocolate Academy. So he is the person that designed, created, made and donated those chocolates to us that we could send out. And we hope you all understood the premise of it. I feel like some people didn't get the premise.
What, of the chocolate?
Not of the chocolate, of our whole package. So we sent tea bags, a coaster and some chocolates. And the idea is get the kettle on, stick your tea in your mug on your coaster, get your chocolates out, put on an episode of the HIV podcast, have a little listen on World AIDS Day.
You know Mark Tilling, he's like a real life Willy Wonka.
Really?
Well, chocolate person, isn't he?
I see. Is that what we're calling chocolate people? The Willy Wonkers of the world?
Yes.
I'm sure that's what he wanted, Sarah, when he did, his because they have to do like real qualifications and stuff, don't they? I'm sure that's what he wanted. I'm the Willy Wonka.
Yeah, that's what he aspired to. He doesn't have Oompa Loompas, I don't think.
Oh, let's not get back into that chat, Sarah.
He is a very, very talented man. We've tried the chocolates, didn't we? Because the first thing we did when they were delivered was sample them.
We did.
Encouraged by Sean.
Yes,
boss.
That's true. Sean the boss, who Sean, by the way, also went, should we open some more? I was like, no, stop it. Absolutely not. No more. You can all have a morsel each. That is it. So
they were just delicious.
Yeah, they were absolutely gorgeous. So also thank you to everyone who's been sharing on social media and tagging in the podcast. And, we wanted to raise awareness of World AIDS Day. But of course, we want to raise awareness of the podcast because the more people that listen, the more people getting HIV educated.
Yep,
Simple.
Absolutely.
And also, thank you very much to Outcast UK. We had a lovely time with them this week, didn't we? Recording for their World AIDS Day episode with lovely, lovely Graham.
Isn't he just the best?
He really is. I'm really looking forward to working more together in the new year, which we're planning to do. We had such a laugh doing that, didn't we?
He's just a lovely person. And, it's so lovely to be able to talk to anyone about HIV. But he's just amazing.
I feel like Outcast UK is sort of similar to us in the respect of we don't necessarily have all the popular opinions.
Yeah. Yes,
right?
That's very true.
We should be called the Unpopular Opinion HIV podcast. Go and check out that episode and just go and check out the podcast in general. So that's Outcast UK. Obviously, you can find them on all major podcast platforms. But Sarah, I feel like we're psychic, right?
Really?
Yeah. Because whenever we put an episode out, it seems to just serendipitously go alongside whatever is like relevant happening in the news alongside that thing. So obviously we've just done 2 episodes around 2030 and if we're going to reach the goal of 0 transmissions. And I don't know if you saw the news, this was a couple of days ago, where basically they've announced another 20 million into this goal.
Oh, I did see that.
So 20 million is going to go into supporting the government's ambition to end new transmissions of HIV in England. That money is basically all going into opt-out testing in 46 new hospital sites, right? Don't get me wrong, that's great. So this isn't like a total negative, but I'm sorry. So wait, we're going to put even more money into opt-out testing. Brilliant. But there's no more money going to sexual health services. And as we spoke about before, sexual health services had their funding cut over a 5-year period. Go back to one of those episodes and listen to it. I also pinned this on an image on Instagram. They lost £1 billion. So what we're doing, this is great. We're going to find more people. We're going to pick up more people that are positive that wouldn't have known through opt-out testing. But they're going to need HIV care in clinics, in sexual health services, of which it would appear, and I can't find it, I've had a look this morning, that there is no extra money going into those. So I just don't understand this. I don't get it.
Oh, okay. So they're going to find the people that need to be tested. And we both agree that opt-out testing in hospitals is a brilliant initiative. Oh, I see what you're saying. But there's no funding for kind of the sexual health clinics or the charities that are going to be supporting those people.
This is my understanding. So perhaps I'm wrong and someone's going to write in, but my understanding is that this is all around the expansion of the project. And it says, backed by 20 million in funding, the research will evaluate the testing programme in 46 new sites across England. So yeah, this is great that they're going to be evaluating, and the opt-out testing found so many people that weren't aware they were positive. But we're putting even more of a strain on our sexual health services. Like, they're going to be at breaking point soon. Why aren't we talking about that? But anyway,
I'm with you. It doesn't make sense to me, but
no, just my rant for the day. That was, Sarah, which wasn't supposed to be in this episode at all. As I said, quite serendipitously, I was like, hang on, we keep being asked about this, don't we? All throughout World AIDS Day, all the press we've done, everyone keeps asking, oh, we're going to achieve 2030, and we're like, no, I don't think so. But today, what we are doing is a special disclosure episode. So this will be the 3rd disclosure episode that we've done this year. So the other 2 that we did was where we looked at who needs to know. think insurance companies for like life insurance, things like that, versus who you want to know. So we did 2 whole episodes around that. And we sort of wanted this episode to be a useful tool for advice if perhaps someone was thinking about disclosing, or alternatively, they could maybe send this episode to somebody who they have disclosed to, give them a bit of insight maybe.
Okay.
And if you remember, we asked our listeners and across our social media to send us in voice notes around disclosure, because we wanted to share the actual voices of our community so we can, actually comes from them, not from us, which is very exciting. We're going to play some of those and we're going to discuss some of them. So to kick us right off, Sarah, I thought it was only right that we went all the way back to the beginning, right to the start of this podcast, to the very first few episodes that we ever did. Was it called HIV, Hope and Charity then? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So right back to the beginning. And we started off by having a chat with a few of our clients, didn't we? A few of our service users. And so I thought I would pick out some parts around disclosure from those and I'd play them. Bit of a blast from the past. Okay, so you ready?
Although my husband has always listened and he never asked me how I got the HIV, but I could not talk to him. Because to me, I didn't think someone who is not HIV can listen. Can understand what I have to go through. I always think, well, in order for someone to feel the way I feel, they should be HIV positive. I remember telling my brother that I was exhausted, and he said, "Oh, we are all exhausted," and I said, "That's it. I'm not talking to him again."
Loved that. So that was Sheila from right back in the day. Her brother's right, though. We are all exhausted, but, perhaps he could have been slightly more sensitive.
Imagine saying that when someone tells you. Well, we're all like that, really, aren't we? No.
Okay, so we have another one.
You have disclosed, actually, haven't you, to members of your family?
Yeah. I've told my mum, my dad, my brothers, yeah. Not everyone in the family, but I think sometimes... Yeah, it goes around the family anyway, because I did say, look, I'm telling you, but don't tell anyone else. But there's gossip in every family, isn't there? Yeah, But yeah, they were all very understanding, and I think it gave my mum a bit of relief, because when I did find out, I went quiet and I wouldn't answer the phone to anyone for a while, and she was worried about me, and then my brother had to get me to ring her, and then I was putting it off, and then I told her, and then she had to process it, and then she came back to me, and she's been really supportive, actually. I mean, if you'd said it to me when I first got diagnosed, I would think it's like really important, and sort of like I was the only person in the world that had it or something. But now it's kind of I've got used to it. Yeah, I've got used to living with it.
I think that's quite an important point to make, that it's sometimes people are going to withdraw.
What, when they get diagnosed, you mean?
Yeah. Like they said, within that, actually their mum was relieved, because once they knew, it was like, right, so this is the reason, it's actually that relief of going, right, I know what's going on now.
Yeah, because mums know, don't they? They know when something's up.
Okay, so this is actually from the patron of our charity.
Because you're so open, what's your advice for people who are perhaps thinking about being more open about their diagnosis?
Well, you got to be comfortable in yourself, first of all, before you even think about it, because you got to think of once you said something, or put it on, if you're brave enough to put it on Facebook, like some people do, once it's out there, you can't take it back. So you've got to really think about it. And if you want to tell people, but like I said, once you've told somebody, you can't take it back. So you've got to be really sure in yourself, long as you've got a good support around you, even if it is family and or friends, long as you got that support, if it does go a bit wonky.
Okay, so think carefully about who you can find.
Yes, yeah, deeply can figure out who you can trust with that information, basically.
Mark's very level-headed, isn't he? And he is very open about his status.
Yeah, Mark's one of our, he's our patron, isn't he? I was telling Sarah this earlier, but one of my dogs was barking, so I'm going to have to edit that bit out. So Mark's our patron, as Sarah said, he's very open about his status.
Yes, he is. But I think his advice is very sound, isn't it? Once you've told people, you can't kind of take that back. So it is worth considering who you tell. And then it's interesting, isn't it? Like we said, with family and your mum knowing that something's up. And all three of them, on the whole, received a good supportive response.
Yeah, massively. And I also think what it just shows is everyone's different. We're not doing this episode and saying, here is the formula of how this is going to go perfectly. It's just not, that's just not life. Everyone's different. You're always going to get a different response, aren't you? So I think it's more just about listening to people's views and opinions around disclosure.
Yes.
So fast forward a little bit, Sarah. Come with me now to present day. And we've received some voice notes from our lovely listeners. We get to hear their voices.
Oh, fabulous. Okay, what have they got to say?
We've spoken about him earlier, the wonderful Will Hampson. And I love listening to him. I love his voice. So, right, here we go.
Hello, everybody. This is not the author of The Lost Boys of Soho, William Hampson. And on your topic of disclosure, I disclosed my status publicly when publishing the book of my experience when being blackmailed by a work colleague who'd threatened to expose my HIV status while working in a Soho gay bar. When I took control of the situation and disclosed to my colleagues myself, they were good about it. To a degree, HIV being treatable and U equals U meant it didn't come with all the drama and rhetoric of the past. Essentially, it was old news. I disclosed to my GP on diagnosis at the request of my HIV clinic, and this has been beneficial in speeding up treatment for other conditions that may be HIV related. I generally get priority appointments due to my status, so it has its perks. But other than that, I planned on disclosing to nobody because it's nobody's business. There is more to a person than HIV itself, and for many of us living with HIV, carrying the burden of the condition makes us stronger and more resilient. And I guess if you are thinking of disclosing, you have to take into account if others you may disclose to have the same strength and resilience to also carry that burden. And if you are thinking of disclosing, then just ensure that you are confident in dealing with some that may still be ignorant and those that have questions that may appear insensitive and intrusive. And in some instances, those well-meaning friends and family that become HIV experts overnight who bombard you with questions, alternatives and solutions. And recently, I was in the presence of someone using HIV stigma of the past in conversation, and while I had the urge to use my voice and disclose to make a stand, I felt my silence regarding my status to contradict their ignorance, and my voice to educate them on HIV and U equals U to be much more beneficial, because my HIV will never speak for me, but I will always speak for it.
I feel like we could just end the podcast now.
That's it. Job done. Well done, Will. Thanks very much.
Yeah, thanks, Will. That was amazing.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Some really good points, especially about the GP. And, you know, we haven't mentioned that before. Perhaps being able to get priority appointments.
Yeah, no, I didn't know that. So that's something to consider, isn't it? And I think what you have with Will is someone who is who has come to terms with his diagnosis and has got a very measured view of how he moves forward. Because I think when you get to that stage, it's kind of job done, isn't it? It's just something, it's just a long-term condition, and it's just something that you don't have to share with people, but you can use it to kind of your advantage to educate people. He's just very good. Yeah. I love Will.
I love that end part. Loved that. See, this is why I wanted to ask people, because, you know, they can put it so much better than we ever could.
Well, I just think they're all much more articulate than we are.
Yeah, I know, Sarah. I know. I was actually listening to the Outcast UK podcast, obviously re-listening to our episode, going, what am I talking about? The wording I use, Sarah. I mean, we need to work on that with me moving forward.
I mean, I don't ever listen to anything we've done, or listen to our
Brilliant.
podcast.
Just out here by myself. Quality control.
But I haven't listened to Outcast. Oh, I just don't want to.
We're talking about, you know, there's been no increase in HIV since gay and bisexual men were allowed to give blood. And I said, I don't think it goes far enough. But that's not what I meant, because when I re-listened, I was like, that sounds like what I'm saying is it should be more restricted. That's not what I meant. I meant the opposite of there isn't a point in having rules, because what they should apply to all of us. They shouldn't just, do you know what I mean? Because we can all say whatever we like. I could say, you know, no, I haven't slept with anyone for however long. Do you know what I mean? It seems ridiculous that we still have these constricting rules. But the wording I used was, they don't go far enough, which is sort of the opposite of what my point was.
Oh, I don't think it came across like that at all.
Oh, thank God.
Otherwise, I would have stepped in and been like, I think what Jess is trying to say. No.
Yeah, but I worry that you just know me too well, and you're like, I know what she means. It sounds terrible, but I'm with her.
And also, I have a very short attention span, as we know. So there is the possibility that I just switched off and was thinking about what to have for my dinner.
I bet you'll go and have a listen and go, oh, Oh, did we discuss that? Oh, brilliant.
Don't say it, because it was really fun, and
No,
we discussed lots of really good topics. But I don't want to listen to it and go, what a bunch of idiots. Us too. Graham's not.
Yeah.
In fact, he did very well to keep the whole thing together.
Oh, poor Stephen Hart, right? And I only say poor Stephen Hart because when I was starting to put this together, obviously I was downloading everyone's voice notes so I could put them into like good audio files. And I had an absolute panic and thought I'd lost Stephen Hart. Didn't bother to check. Straight away WhatsApped him. Stephen, disaster! My phone has deleted your voice note. I then, straight away, 2 minutes later, I can see, WhatsApped him saying, please ignore me. I've now found it.
You see, what you are describing is just your general life. This is what I have to work with people every day. It's just
constant
calamities.
Yeah.
But it all comes good in the end. Yeah.
Knee-jerk reaction.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I found it. Panic over. Thank you, Stephen, for being understanding. He literally just came back. Glad you're all sorted. Talk soon. It's like, yeah, he's probably there. Like, she needs to calm down.
Yeah, I bet he was. Just like, what a dickhead.
Yes. Right. And we always talk about Stephen Hart's dulcet tones. He's got
an amazing voice.
So enjoy, Sarah, just for you.
Hey, Jess and Sarah, it's Stephen Hart from Hart Talks and all those other things. And I'm just leaving you a message just to give my little piece for the show that you have got coming up. So basically what I would say to somebody about disclosure, when you disclose to somebody, it doesn't change the person that's in front of you. They're still a human being. They still have feelings. They still laugh and cry and do all the same things as, you know, anybody else. Just because we have this virus in our body doesn't make us radioactive. And it's hard enough because I know as a person living with HIV, I felt radioactive myself. So when people around me treated me as if I was radioactive, it made me feel very, very, very sad and very, very alone. I really had a varied mix of responses. I had one friend who collapsed in the street and wailed. And I was comforting her, making her feel better. I had other friends that just accepted it and just put their arms around me and said, it'll be okay. You know, I had a really close friend who I was friends with for years, and she was she was a really good friend. And she gradually started to distance herself after I told her I was positive. And she didn't explain why, you know, just kept missing our meeting, you know, when we were due to meet up and things. And eventually one night she phoned me after she'd had a couple of glasses of wine. And she said, I can't bear to watch you die. And that's why I'm pulling back from your life. And obviously this was 18, nearly 19 years ago. And I wasn't educated enough to be able to say, I'm not going to die, you know. So really, I suppose my overall thought is just don't let the person that's telling you that they're HIV positive have to care for you as well. Because quite often just telling your status is the biggest thing that you can do. And so just continue to love them and care for them and be their friend or be their partner or be whatever you are to them. And educate yourself, because, you know, the more that you know about HIV, the more that you can be a help to that person. Okay, so this is Stephen Hart from Hart Talks, just saying thank you and see you later.
Well, I think it's safe to say that if anyone does disclose their HIV status to you, the best thing to do is not to collapse on the floor and start wailing. That's quite a dramatic response.
I think that's so important, though, that he said, don't make the person that's disclosing to you care for you.
No, and I like that he says, go away, do your own education, kind of get informed and then support them. That's such a good point. I think, it's human nature, isn't it, a lot of the time, to kind of turn things around so it's on you rather than on the other person. And it is a shock when someone discloses their HIV status. But that is the time to not focus on yourself. That other person needs you and they trust you, and they're disclosing to you because they need your support, not the other way round.
Yeah, exactly. That is just something to consider. But I suppose I think the hard thing is you never know who's going to react in what way. So it's just being prepared for any reaction, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yes, absolutely. But I think as the person being disclosed to, you just need to bottle it up. You know, you might be shocked, you might be hurt, you might be scared. Go off, do your research. Because that's what being a good friend, a good partner, a good family member is all about, really.
Yeah, absolutely. One of our service users, actually, we were chatting about disclosure recently, and he said that I could use this for the podcast. And he said that when he disclosed to his sister, he said, my sister burst into tears when I told her. He said, I swore at her. And again, I'm going to swear, guys. He said, I swore at her. I said, for fuck's sake, it's not a death sentence. There's worse things out there. You know, and I was like, do you know what? Good for you. Because what he didn't do there is go, oh, God, okay, yeah, we're going to look after you. Here we go. He's like, oi, stop it. No, not doing this. You don't need to be crying. And so that's how he dealt with that situation. Like, absolutely not. We're not having this. We're not having these tears.
I think I'd be the same.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right. So I have another voice note from a lovely listener that you will definitely know, Sarah. Presenting Charlotte Leach.
Oh, another person I love.
Yeah. So we get to hear her voice now. We get to know what she sounds like.
Hello, Jess, Sarah, all at EBPS and the whole lovely HIV podcast community. My name's Charlotte and I'm a big fan of the HIV podcast. I've been listening almost since the very beginning, and I'm really, really excited to be able to contribute to this special episode on disclosure. I've been thinking a lot about what to say. And what really has struck me is that if somebody were to share their diagnosis with me, I would be really touched by that. I would be really honoured that somebody had felt comfortable enough to share that news with me and knew that I would be trustworthy, discreet and supportive with it. I also want to say as well that for me, having a diagnosis of HIV is an important part of who somebody is, but there are also many, many other parts of what makes up somebody. So that one part of their HIV diagnosis does matter, but so does everything else. And that's what makes everybody whole and individual. So for me, it's about being open, supportive, discreet, listening to what people say, asking how I might be able to support them, giving them a hug, offering them a biscuit, cup of tea, or maybe even just a few sneaky chocolate buttons. Take care, everyone.
Did that make your day, the chocolate buttons bit?
It really did. She's just the nicest person.
Yeah.
And I feel we should have her on speed dial for when we have calamities every day, don't we?
Charlotte's probably like, absolutely not. No, Charlotte, don't give us your number, please. I'll be on the phone all the time.
Again, it's that kind of measured voice. You know, if there was an emergency situation, Charlotte Leach should lead us out of it.
She would be good. And I thought that was a really lovely voice note. Just on the whole, I thought really nice way to look at it.
It is a really good way, isn't it? To think that someone trusts you enough to tell you and believes that you're going to support them.
Yeah.
So, I wish everybody looked at it that way. If
I
somebody
love that.
does disclose their status, they're doing it because they trust you to give a good response.
Yeah, she looks at it as rather than a shock, as an honour.
Yeah.
And that's a lovely flip of that, isn't it?
Yes.
Really like the reframing.
Yes, I really do too. It's very clever. Yeah.
And so the last voice note that I have today.
Okay.
Are you ready? It's from the beautiful voice of the other person that works on this podcast, part of our wonderful team, the lovely Zoe.
Ooh.
Of course she had to be involved, of course. So she had thoughts and I was like, let's get them down, Zoe. Let's go.
So working at TVPS has shown me that it's okay not to have all of the answers and people don't expect you to. As long as you vocalise this and do the work of getting HIV educated yourself and not putting the burden on the person themselves to educate you.
Oh, good word, Zoe. And she's right. We've just been saying this, haven't we? It's up to us to educate ourselves. Don't put the burden on the other person.
Exactly. But do you know what I would like to circle back around to, using some business jargon? What Will said. So while it's important, I think, for everyone to get HIV educated and do that, so get yourself educated if someone discloses. I do like that he pointed out, perhaps don't then, like a bull in a china shop, go in and try to like fix everyone's problems and be like, right, I know everything. Have you done this? Have you done that? So it's one thing to be educated, isn't there? And understand. But there's another thing to then sort of try to meddle in someone's business, you know?
Yes, no, I do understand that. I think it's human nature to want to fix something, isn't it? If you can see somebody's going through a difficult time, you want to make it better for them, but you've got to pick your moments.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I think we've had some amazing advice, and it's been so lovely to hear people's voices. So thank you so much to everyone that sent us voice notes in. And I think we've had some great advice about if you're positive and you're thinking about disclosing. But Sarah, for people who are being disclosed to, I've got a little takeaway for them. I've got a little, I put together a little acronym for them.
Here we go. She's been working on this for weeks, I bet.
Right.
Come on then. Look how proud you are of yourself. This is amazing.
Okay, so top takeaways to remember if someone has disclosed to you. Number 1, no asking how someone contracted. Now, I don't know if we've actually said that too much. I think that went alongside what Will was saying in terms of don't ask insensitive questions. We've said it before. It's none of your business and it doesn't matter. So that's number 1, no asking. So N, that's what that begins with, doesn't it? Do you see where we're going?
Yeah.
Number 2, it's okay not to know everything, but be honest about that. Take the time to educate yourself, but then don't also become an expert and try to just give advice all over the place. So it's okay not to know everything. 3, be kind. Don't make assumptions or ask insensitive questions. And 4, in capital letters, listen. I always use the phrase, right, with Ben and lots of people actually. So it's 2 ears for listening, 1 mouth for talking, and we should use them in that ratio.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And I think that's a good thing. So what does that spell? It spells nibble. So think HIV disclosure, think nibble. N-I-B-L,
Nibble.
Sarah. N-I-B-L. No asking.
see.
It's okay. Be kind. Listen. Nibble.
I thought it would have an E on the end. Sorry.
No, not that kind of nibble. It's just, a vague acronym.
Nib-L.
Yeah. So, that's what to remember. So we hope this has been at all helpful. I'm sure it will have been, actually, because we've had some absolutely amazing advice, and it's been wonderful having input from so many people on World AIDS Day.
It really has. And I hope your acronym really takes off.
Sarah, I'm going to put it on the Instagram page.
Are you?
Yeah. Think nibble.
Nibble.
Surely we live in a world of acronyms. I'm joining in. I'm trying to.
You're just adding to them. We always say we have too many acronyms in the HIV sector.
Let's go all the way in,
Really?
Everything's an acronym.
Right. Okay. I think it's good. And well done for working on that.
Thank you for humouring me, even though it was terrible. But that is all I have for today. Thank you for being here, Sarah. And I hope you're going to go back to your sick bed now.
I think I will, yes. I'm just going to rest because, as we know, I've not just been sick, Jess. I've been very sick. The sickest.
Yes, yeah, the sickest. So you've dragged yourself out of bed to do this for us today on World AIDS Day. And now off you go back to bed. We've got an exciting episode next week, though, as well, haven't we? So tell people what we have.
So next week, we are looking at bug chasing. Is that right?
Yes.
Is that next week's episode?
Yes, that is next week's episode. Sorry, I actually shouldn't ask you questions. You're not well. No. I will do it,
Bug
Sarah.
chasing, yes.
Yes.
Or gift giving, as some people call it. It's where people want to catch HIV.
Yeah, they're actively trying to contract it. And it's long been sort of a bit of an urban myth, hasn't it? So we're going to look at all of that. So that will be...
We're going to look at whether it actually does happen or whether it is an urban myth.
Oh, I love it. I love an urban myth. The ones where it used to be like an alligator, like lives in your toilet or something. I still get a bit terrified sometimes that something might bite my bottom. Do you not?
No, I've never once thought an alligator is going to come up through my toilet and bite me. No, nobody does. I bet now everyone will be, what?
I do.
Do you?
You never think that something might come out the toilet. Oh.
Huh.
Okay.
I mean, an alligator, definitely not. It wouldn't be able to fit.
What about a small one?
We don't have alligators here, Jess.
No, but the urban myth, isn't it, that like a zoo or something like flushed one down the toilet? Sarah, I know it's not true. It's the same as my fear of clowns, my fear of tsunamis. I know we live inland. There is no sea. When I tell people I'm terrified of tsunamis, they're like, "But you live in the middle of the country." It's not the point. It's an irrational fear. Do you not have irrational fears?
I don't think I do, because I'm a normal grown-up.
Savage. But fair
Do
enough.
I have irrational fears? No, I don't worry about tsunamis or alligators or what was the other one? No, I do not have these. I don't think. Oh,
You must live such a charmed life.
Well, it's
going to the
not
toilet
that
must be a
stressful.
delight for you.
Well, yes, because it's just a toilet. Nothing's going to come up it. Maybe rats. If it was rats, I could understand
my God.
it.
I sometimes think a snake might.
Yeah, a snake could. Yes.
Why are you feeding into this? I thought you said it was irrational. I'm
No.
never going to go to the toilet again. I'll be in the garden digging a hole.
That's worse.
Oh, God.
There's all kinds of things in your garden, isn't there? Worms and ants and... Oh, no.
No. I feel like we should leave this here. I feel like people who are new to the podcast, who have gone, "It's World AIDS Day, I'll come and have a listen," and now like, what the fuck is this?
You know what we've done? What we've managed to do is derail a perfectly good episode right at the end. We've been on our best behaviour for the whole episode and we've ruined it in the last 2 or 3 minutes. Now, I've got an excuse. I'm extremely sick, but you haven't.
I'm just excited that it's WAD. I'm giddy as a kipper. That's my excuse.
Yeah, well, who uses that expression? Why are kippers giddy? What are you doing?
Okay, let's just end the podcast now. We need to end
I
it.
feel like I've either got some hideous fever that's nothing.
This never
this is not
happened.
real. Yeah.
It was all a dream.
I'll go lie down, I'll wake up and I'll be like, that didn't happen.
I think we just have to cut it off now, Sarah. Happy World AIDS Day, everyone.
Yeah.
Wear your ribbon, show your support, spread the You Equals You message. Have a great day.
Thanks for listening to the HIV podcast. If you enjoyed our podcast, please like, rate and subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts.
You can now also follow us on Instagram and TikTok at the HIV Podcast for behind the scenes insights and video. The HIV Podcast is produced by Thames Valley Positive Support.